out and try and really understand what happened here with Michigan not being able to make some of the splashier hires that they thought they were going to be able to make.
Game time decisions only on SportsGrid.
Crosby has now left the team, by the way. He's pissed. Anyway, look at he's angry. He wants to play. He doesn't like what they're doing here. There's all sort of speculation.
This might be the final straw, George, for him there.
Like,
I don't know why he stays. Yeah, I know. The thing is, he's got a Raider freaking tattoo. Like, the guy loves the Raiders. Like, he really does love playing for the Raiders. But and now, like you said, he's not happy about this.
In-game live only on SportsGrid.
Time to rise and grind. It's the early line right here on the Sports Grid Network. It is a Monday. It's an armchair quarterback Monday. Oh, my goodness. What did we watch yesterday? Multiple spots, crazy comebacks, and more importantly, a playoff field that's now getting narrowed down with 3 monster games coming up in Week 18. Also, we'll keep an eye on who's actually going to get the number 1 overall pick in the NFL. This week, we have playoff action in college football. We got college basketball, NBA action, and much more. Sometimes we like to say on Mondays, 2 hours just might not be enough. But I'm Donnie Rightside. He's Joe Ranieri, and we'll make sure we get you the information that you need.
Lot to unpack from this weekend, to say the least there, Donnie. But, hey, listen, we still got one more week of NFL football, and believe it or not, some of these games actually matter. I can't.
Watching that Philadelphia Eagles game yesterday, pull out a victory with no passing yards in the second half. I worked the morning doing pro football today. I need some caffeine today, Joe. Bring the heat with the hottest topic of the day.
Oh, Johnny, if you thought the college football playoff committee was out of their minds, well, the NCAA last week just said, hold my beer, because they have completely lost the plot of what college basketball is supposed to be all about. And kudos to Tom Izzo, by the way, the legendary Michigan State coach, who finally said what we are all thinking. This has gotten ridiculous. Now, in case you have missed the news, over the Christmas holiday, sneakily, the NCAA, in its infinite wisdom, has decided that, well, professional basketball players are now eligible to play college hoops. And we're not joking about this. James Najee, the 31st overall pick in the 2023 NBA draft, just joined the Baylor Bears. And get this, he has 4 years of eligibility coming along with him. This was a guy who was part of the Karl Anthony Towns trade. And he is now going to be boxing out 18-year-old freshmen at Baylor. But wait, it gets dumber. There are reports now that Trenton Flowers, a guy on a 2-way contract with the Chicago Bulls, well, he's fielding offers from college programs. He has literally played in the NBA, Donnie. He's a professional employee of an NBA franchise. And we are talking about him going to play for, Louisville? Tom Izzo called it out perfectly. He said, quote, if we're dipping into guys who were drafted to the NBA, shame on the NCAA, and shame on the coaches, too. And he is spot on. Shame on the coaches. We have reached the point where a guy like Kenneth Lofton Jr., who was just the MVP of the professional league in China, could theoretically go back to Louisiana Tech and play college basketball. What are we doing here? Are we going to let LeBron enroll at Ohio State next semester for the NIL money as well? What are we doing? Look, I'm all for players getting paid. Get your bag. But you cannot have grown men or kids who have played with grown men professionally and have signed professional contracts and actually played for NBA teams taking roster spots from college kids. It is absolutely absurd. It's become a circus, Donnie, way more than college football has. And kudos to Tom Izzo for being the only adult in the room willing to say it. Fix the rules, NCAA. Stop being terrified of lawsuits and save the damn sport. So happy Monday to all of those on college campuses around the country. Do yourself a favor, though. Try not to get dunked on by an NBA veteran on your way to class this semester, because the NCAA has lost its damn mind, Donnie.
It absolutely has, and it's a great topic to bring up because I was one of those people that said, you know what? I don't think college players should get paid. We always knew the bagmen were out there and the handshakes were here, but now it turned into name, image, and likeness. Wasn't that, Joe, just a great concept and topic? It meant the top players in college football, if Dr. Pepper recognized, hey, you know what? I think Arch Manning can sell more sodas. Let's pay him $1 million and we're going to put him on a national ad campaign. And it turned into, hey, kid, nobody knows your name, your image, your likeness. We'll give you $2 million. You show up here on campus if you come to the school. I don't know how it got that way where teams actually have legitimate payrolls in college football. That's not name, image, and likeness. It was supposed to be, Joe, hey, you know what? I'm the Ohio State quarterback. There's a burrito place in town. It's going to give me free burritos and $200 a week if I just mention them on a social media post. But no, it's turned into name, image, and likeness doesn't matter because the kids getting paid in college football right now, nobody knows 99% of their names, their images, or their likenesses here. Welcome to the new party. And Joe is right about this. If we're just going to open it up to overseas players that are 29 years old that have never played in the NBA but are professional athletes overseas, welcome to the new world, because I think Illinois is already starting to do that as well. Great topic, Joe, on a Monday. Let's get started on the early lineup here. And that does speak with Tom Izzo. It's great to see the old guard because also understand this. Some of the great coaches in college basketball would still be coaching today, but they saw this coming from years away and said, I'm not doing this anymore. Shout out Tom Izzo for calling it out, basically saying, we're going to get professional athletes in here midway through a season, just supplant them and make a March Madness run. He's absolutely right in all accounts, Tom Izzo.
He really is. I mean, and you're right. Kudos to the Jay Wrights of Villanova, right? The Coach K's, the Roy Williams of North Carolina. All these guys saw this coming and wanted absolutely nothing to do with it. He is one of the only old guard left, and it's a breath of fresh air, Donnie. It's great to hear one of the most legendary, if not the legendary coach in college basketball go, are we out of our minds? What Calipari's been doing it too, but nobody takes him serious enough. Hopefully, Donnie, the NCAA listens to Izzo and handles this.
How about this? The NFL looking to make even more money, and why not? Everybody's ratings are a bonanza here. Cash in while you can. The NFL looking to renew some broadcast deals here, Joe.
Of course they are. Follow the money, Donnie. Just get the money. That's all that matters. It's the money train, and it's all about the NFL because it is king after all, isn't it?
By the way, we did have two-hand touch played last night, if you enjoyed that, on Sunday Night Football between the Chicago Bears and the 49ers. But the Bears came into that game already winning their division. The Chicago Bears head into the playoffs here. Now it's just managing where they're actually going to be, that 2 seed or the 3 seed now.
Yeah, 7-on-7 last night. That was great, Tony. That was a lot of fun to watch. Really quality. Exactly how are those two defenses championship quality on any level? Not. I have no idea, but okay. Kudos. Made for an entertaining game last night on Sunday night.
Certainly did. Hey, Derrick Henry, we wanted you to carry the football in the fourth quarter in a loss that you had just a week and a half ago. Let's give you the football close to 40 times and win a football game in Green Bay. And Derrick Henry continues to move up the ranks as one of the best running backs in NFL history.
And this is strange, Donnie, because the week prior when they actually lost the game, they should have won. He was nowhere to be found on the field. But apparently they huddled together. The coaching staff was like, you know what would be a great idea? Maybe we just ride the greatest workhorse that we've seen in a few decades and just give him the damn ball. And sure enough, they ended up winning.
Max Crosby, I love you. You play hard. You are the face of the Raiders. But don't get upset. You chose to sign a massive extension with the worst organization in professional sports. So you're unhappy they shut you down to end the last couple games of the season. Now you want out? I could have told you. The minute you got drafted to the Raiders, you should have wanted out.
I actually enjoyed the Twitter post that he had up yesterday of him on the trampoline with his son being like, what injury? What knee problem? I got no knee. I don't know what they're talking about. It's going to get ugly before it gets better there. That's for sure.
Matthew Tkachuk starting to practice, Joe. Get excited, are you?
Yeah, we are. We've already got the jerseys ready. We got the tickets bought, Donnie, and we will be there the minute he's back out on the ice.
Steve Kerr calling the Warriors a fading dynasty. I love when coaches speak the truth, man. I enjoy that.
Yeah, it's about time. I mean, it's good. It's very refreshing on something. Other things, you just, check your pie hole. But for the most part, I do appreciate the honesty, Donnie, with these guys.
There you go. Honesty made a lot of money. Fading dynasty. Can't have things great all the time. Always into history. And hey, Golden State Warriors done a lot of winning there in the past. We got to save this one topic here, Joe. The Kyrgios Sabalenka match, which I saw pictures of yesterday. Hopefully we can get pictures and post this at a later date in this show. We got a lot to talk about. It's Monday. It's Armchair Quarterback. Let's get to it here. We'll be right back.
When you look at this NBA Cup, you have to think about the importance. As a coach, I find a lot of importance. This wasn't a gimmick win. The Knicks earned it the hard way, and it matters in April as Mike Brown continues to build that culture in New York, and now, in my opinion, the Knicks are legit contenders to win the NBA title.
Pro basketball today, only on SportsGrid.
The Chicago Blackhawks of the National Hockey League are now official partners with Kalshi. It takes effect this week. Each side can use the other's intellectual property for co-marketing purposes, and Kalshi will be promoted during home games at the United Center and on Blackhawks broadcasts. First of its kind, certainly probably not the last as well.
Newswire, only on SportsGrid.
I mean, they couldn't get the Arizona State coach to come out. They couldn't get the BYU coach to leave their job. I mean, it's just very odd, I feel, when we watch this whole thing play out and try and really understand what happened here with Michigan not being able to make some of the splashier hires that they thought they were going to be able to make.
Game time decisions, only on SportsGrid.
Crosby has now left the team, by the way. He's pissed. Anyway, look at he's angry. He wants to play. He doesn't like what they're doing here. There's all sort of speculation.
This might be the final straw, George, for him there.
Like, I
don't know why he stays. Yeah, I know. The thing is, he's got a Raider freaking tattoo. Like, the guy loves the Raiders. Like, he really does love playing for the Raiders. But and now, like you said, he's not happy about this.
In-game live, only on SportsGrid.
Everybody loves their daily spread lines. That's what we give to you here at the SportsGrid Network on the early line. Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, and Friday, 7 a.m. to 9 a.m. Eastern. Donnie Rightside and Joe Ranieri. And today, we're going bowling, people, in the middle of the afternoon. That's a game between Georgia Southern and App State. This line, Joe, opened up at -3.5 at some outlets here. Now I'm seeing 8.5s across the board as the live number and a total of 59.5. Georgia Southern, App State, bowl game, 2 p.m. on a Monday. What's that spread line, Joe?
Donnie, I dare anybody to tell me who's playing in this game because I have no idea who's playing in this game. Listen, App State shouldn't even be here. They were a 5-7 team, but they didn't have enough teams in order that actually won 6 games that wanted to go to a bowl game. So App State was like 8th on the list of teams that they asked under 6 wins. And the problem is most of those kids, none of them thought they were going to a bowl game. So most all of them already transferred or put in to transfer, aren't even on campus. We don't know who the quarterback is going to be because both already opted to transfer out. There is absolutely no list. They haven't published the depth chart for App State, Donnie, as of 12 hours ago. So I don't know who the hell's even on this team that's going to be playing. So the fact that the books got a number for this game, kudos to them. Call me crazy. I'll take the team that thought they were going to be there at Georgia Southern as opposed to the team here in App State that nobody knows who's playing.
What, you don't like the J-Lab Birmingham Bowl? Again, like at bowl season, if we're going to make this, like you have to send these kids to the islands, let them play on an aircraft carrier, put them in the middle of the desert somewhere, like just to make it at least fun. Or how about in Siberia for a football game where it's just ice cold conditions here? Then we'll maybe tune in and have some fun with these games. How about on the 30th, Joe, which is tomorrow? That is a Tuesday. There's actually 3 games tomorrow, 2 p.m., 5:30, and 9 o'clock. Tennessee and Illinois. Big-time conference football going toe-to-toe. The look-ahead line had Tennessee close to a touchdown favorite, Joe. Today, I'm seeing a -2.5 and a total of 61.5. This is the Liberty Mutual Music City Bowl, where the expectations for the weather are 35 degrees. Congratulations, bowling here. Go with Tennessee and Illinois, Joe. What is your spread line, though, huh?
Well, I think Illinois, well, it won't bother Illinois very much, those kind of temperatures. But Tennessee, listen, they've had opt-out after opt-out here, Donnie. Their leading receiver, Chris Brazel II, is gone. He's actually heading to the NFL draft combine. They won't have any of the backup wide receivers. 3 of the best defensive players on the team are also not playing in this one. So, Josh Heupel, the good thing about a Tennessee team in the SEC is, Josh Heupel has a group of players that were behind them that are going to be competitive. We just saw this with LSU, right? I mean, listen, it is the SEC. They still have a lot of quality players that are going to be auditioning for jobs next year. So Illinois doesn't exactly go unscathed. They, too, are going to have a few starters on both sides of the ball not available. But the market believes that, the opt-outs for Tennessee way more valuable than anything Illinois is bringing to the table. I don't see how you can look at anything but the over in this game, Donnie. We've seen these two teams be able to put up some points and the defenses not be as good. So to me, I think the only way to look at it is expect Tennessee and a Josh Heupel team as well as Illinois to put some points on the board in this game.
Remember the Alamo, Joe. That's where you're going to tomorrow at 9 p.m. Eastern for the Alamo Bowl. It's USC versus TCU. The look-ahead line was 6.5. Do you know where that line sits today? Still 6.5 as a favorite towards USC. A total, though, which opened up around 60.5, Joe, that's dropped to 55.5. USC, TCU, home state advantage for the Horned Frogs at the Alamo. What gives in this game, and what's your spread line?
Well, absolutely. But this is interesting because this is one of those games, Donnie, that we saw 6.5 at the open. We're still 6.5. Yeah. And it's ironic because TCU won't have its stud quarterback, Josh Hoover. He already entered the transfer portal. He is one of the many opt-outs and transfers that are going to be missing this game, actually, from both sides. You know that from USC as well. But Sonny Dykes has been here, has done this before. This is the little brother versus big brother, right? TCU trying to prove a point that they belong. And Sonny Dykes has been doing this a long, long time. Lincoln Riley always disappoints in these spots. But he's also been out recruiting like a lunatic from what I am hearing at USC. Going to have a lot of replacement players in this game on both sides. But like you said, got to take the points here, don't you? With the home crowd and the home team favorite there with TCU.
Could be a factor today. We'll see if those fans do show up at the Alamo in San Antonio. Los Angeles Rams and the Atlanta Falcons. Monday Night Football night tonight. Here we go. The Rams... 8.5-point favorites at the look ahead. That's down to 7 and 7.5. Why? The Rams can't actually win the division or even get a home playoff game right off the bat. They are a wild card team, which means how hard are they going to play tonight? Atlanta's already out of the playoffs altogether, and this total's listed at 49.5. Joe, the spread line. How do we play this game on Monday night?
Yeah, what are we going to do here? I'll tell you this, though. What we do know is that McVay, not only off a loss, but McVay in the month of December has been an ATM machine, Donnie, with the Rams. Absolute ATM machine. I think he's only lost or hasn't covered 3 games in the month of December, including last week's game there where they were a favorite. So I would expect a big bounce back, and none of us believe that Atlanta is playing for anything other than maybe a couple of jobs here or there. Yeah, it feels like a get-right spot for the Rams, who, hey, listen, anything is possible, right? Although they are out of the running, it sounds like, for the NFC West title and the number 1 seed, but that's going to be determined next week between the 49ers and the Seahawks.
Two really good games. I don't know if we're going to be good games, but at least meaningful games on Saturday in the NFL, Joe. Carolina and Tampa Bay, both of these teams backing their way into the playoffs. Tampa Bay is a favorite at home against Carolina of -3 and a total of 43.5. The winner goes to the playoffs and gets a home game in the playoffs because of the division champions. The loser goes home and disappointed, Joe. What's your spread line here?
Aren't they both losers in many rights? No, I kid you. Line opened up yesterday, Donnie. We watched it on In-Game Live. Opened up -4 for Tampa. The hook was available for about a half hour. It moved down to 3.5, and now it has settled in at -3. That total actually opened 42.5. So the total's going up a bit, but the money clearly coming in on Carolina.
Let's go back to Saturday and Sunday. What happened in the NFL and how it pertains to games coming up in Week 18? The early line on the SportsGrid Network. We will be right back.
When you look at this NBA Cup, you have to think about the importance. As a coach, I find a lot of importance. This wasn't a gimmick win. The Knicks earned it the hard way, and it matters in April as Mike Brown continues to build that culture in New York, and now, in my opinion, the Knicks are legit contenders to win the NBA title.
Pro basketball today, only on SportsGrid.
The Chicago Blackhawks of the National Hockey League are now official partners with Kalshi. It takes effect this week. Each side can use the other's intellectual property for co-marketing purposes, and Kalshi will be promoted during home games at the United Center and on Blackhawks broadcasts. First of its kind, certainly probably not the last as well.
Newswire, only on SportsGrid.
I mean, they couldn't get the Arizona State coach to come out. They couldn't get the BYU coach to leave their job. I mean, it's just very odd, I feel, when we watch this whole thing play out and try and really understand what happened here with Michigan not being able to make some of the splashier hires that they thought they were going to be able to make.
Game time decisions, only on SportsGrid.
Crosby has now left the team, by the way. He's pissed. Anyway, look at he's angry. He wants to play. He doesn't like what they're doing here. There's all sort of speculation.
This might be the final straw, George, for him there.
Like,
I don't know why he stays. Yeah, I know. The thing is, he's got a Raider freaking tattoo. Like, the guy loves the Raiders. Like, he really does love playing for the Raiders. But and now, like you said, he's not happy about this.
In-game live, only on SportsGrid.
We had a couple Saturday games of meaningful football in NCAA action. Well, I guess if you like bowl games, but in the NFL, they gave it to us here. The Houston Texans and the Los Angeles Chargers. Big time game in the AFC. Final score, Houston Texans 20, the Los Angeles Chargers 16. Looked like Houston was on the way to 48 points in this game, dropping 2 dimes early for C.J. Stroud. Then they just went into a huddle and basically took a knee and turned the football over and almost gave this game back to the Chargers, but didn't. Houston Texans defense is on point, Joe, but we still look at that offense and say, we need more, man. But they did get a win on the road.
Yeah, so, I mean, listen, big picture, win is a win, right? But outside of the first 2 possessions that Houston had, they got outplayed all over that field, Donnie. And it was the inability of the Chargers to stop shooting themselves in the foot in that game, which is what allowed, and barely, for Houston to be able to hang on. Houston opens up the game with 2, 40 and 60-yard bombs with broken coverages there to go up 14-0, and then had to hold on for dear life. In the meantime, the Chargers just could not figure it out, Donnie. I mean, every chance they had, turnover at the goal line, missed field goal, missed extra point. It's the little things that matter. And right now, the Chargers at home, they didn't do them. much like the Buffalo Bills. And guess what? They didn't get the win, and that's a problem.
Yeah, the Texans were just burying Justin Herbert in the pocket, play after play after play, but they did hold firm at that point and tried to make a comeback here. And how about Dicker the kicker? The most accurate kicker in NFL history, misses a 32-yarder and then also misses an extra point. Final score, 20-16. We might have been going to overtime if he had made his kicks, but he didn't do that. Herbert ran 6 times for 37 yards to lead Los Angeles. He was under siege all day. I love the Texans defense, but the one thing we looked at this game, Joe, both of these offensive lines aren't good enough to win a Super Bowl. It's a shame, but that's just the way it's going to play out.
No, both defenses are legit.
Yeah.
And Houston was able to take advantage of a couple of missed coverages early in that game. But after that, the Chargers defense settled down, and that was kind of the game we thought we were going to get, right? It was going to be a rock fight, but the Chargers had their chances and just could not get it done. And that is going to haunt Harbaugh for a little while here.
By the way, most teams that opened up the season with 2 or 3 losses, you don't make the playoffs. Coaches look to get fired. The GMs are out, but that's not the Houston Texans, man. Living and dying on the edge, playing their best football, maybe so, but boy, the way they started that game, hitting deep shot after deep shot, I'm like, you know what? Is this team rounding into perfect form? And then we saw C.J. Stroud with a couple bonehead interceptions to let the Chargers back in, but they did win that football game. Game number 2, Joe, on Saturday night, was the Baltimore Ravens. And we just figured the Baltimore Ravens were lining up in this game as a formality. Have some fun, kids, because the very next day, which we'll get to, the Pittsburgh Steelers, they'll wrap up that division and you'll be done. Not the case. The Baltimore Ravens righted a wrong. Tyler Huntley steps back up, ultra efficient, Joe. 16 of 20 for 107 yards, a touchdown pass, a QBR rating of 91, which means he was making every right decision, which included handing the football off 36 times to Derrick Henry for 216 yards and 4 rushing touchdowns, something they didn't do the week previous, and they paid for it against the Patriots. They made sure Henry got the football, and they won easy over the Packers, 41-24.
2 big takeaways in this game is, number one, the Packers aren't beating anybody in the playoffs. The fact that they have already qualified for the playoffs and are limping in is hysterical. But the other big takeaway is, listen, you expect that from Derrick Henry this time of year. Just hand the damn ball off to him and let him do his thing. And that was kudos to Baltimore, figured that out. It would have been better if you did it the week prior as well, but it's never too late. And now, of course, the Browns bail him out, and they have an opportunity to utilize him again next week against Pittsburgh for all the marbles. But can somebody tell me, when did Malik Willis grow up to be a starting quarterback in the NFL, Donnie? Because just before he was torching them, and I'm going, wait a minute, where has this kid been, and what happened to him? Man, he was like an afterthought in Tennessee when Vrabel drafted him, and now all of a sudden he might have made himself an awful lot of money with that game last on the weekend.
You're right. And again, like the teams like Tennessee that gave up on him, like this guy was 18 of 21, 288 and a touchdown. He goes, oh yeah, I can run as well for 9 for 60. And also, what do we love about quarterbacks? Sometimes backups come in. Let me run that West Coast offense, dink and dunk. The kid was pushing the football down the field. Yeah. Watson and Dobbs, a 40-yard catch, a 39-yard catch, Reed, a 30-yard catch, Melton, a 34-yard catch. Pushing it down really helps, but look, he re-injured that shoulder. It's a shame. The Packers are in the playoffs, but doing it the worst way. You're supposed to be playing your best football at the end of the year, not your worst football at the end of the year. More NFL talk. What happened this weekend? We got you covered. It's the early line. We'll see you in a few moments.
Chicago Blackhawks of the National Hockey League are now official partners with Kalshi. It takes effect this week. Each side can use the other's intellectual property for co-marketing purposes, and Kalshi will be promoted during home games at the United Center and on Blackhawks broadcasts. First of its kind, certainly probably not the last as well.
Newswire, only on SportsGrid.
When did we become, so bitter that we can't accept another man's apology? We make mistakes all the time. And as a grown man, you have to say I'm sorry every once in a while. And it's okay to say that. And the apology, I think, should be accepted. And in this case, I'm accepting it.
The Craig Carton Show. Only on SportsGrid.
When you look at this NBA Cup, you have to think about the importance. As a coach, I find a lot of importance. This wasn't a gimmick win. The Knicks earned it the hard way. And it matters in April as Mike Brown continues to build that culture in New York. And now, in my opinion, the Knicks are legit contenders to win the NBA title.
Pro basketball today. Only on SportsGrid.
Arvil Reese at 8%. I got to tell you right now, I have no idea who that is or if they're playing a Joe Coleman show.
Yeah, that's going to be interesting
Who is that?
here, but I have no idea.
Do you even know?
But no idea. But don't you have to pick the Heisman winner, Donnie? Isn't that like the rule of thumb if you're going to take a quarterback? Is he not the best quarterback?
The Early Line. Only on SportsGrid.
What happened to the Buccaneers yesterday? Taking on the Miami Dolphins, who just got shredded by an extremely poor Cincinnati Bengals team. You figured this would be a get-right game for the Bengals, or excuse me, a get-right game for Tampa Bay. But then you said to yourself, well, do they actually have to win? And maybe you're just scoreboard watching if you look at Carolina, because Carolina was a 7-point underdog yesterday, and Tampa Bay might have figured, they'll lose, and it doesn't really matter all that much what we do today, because Week 18, that's going to be the final game where the winner or the loser is going to pay dividends going to the playoffs or going home. How about a Miami Dolphins 20-17 victory yesterday over the Tampa Bay Buccaneers? The Buccaneers had a lot to play for. The Miami Dolphins, nothing to play for. Quinn Ewers at starting quarterback. He threw 2 touchdown passes, but so did Baker Mayfield. But just too many turnovers, 2 interceptions, too many fumbles, no running game. The Miami Dolphins beat the Tampa Bay Buccaneers yesterday 20-17. I was pretty shocked by that performance by the Bucs.
They look defeated. Donnie, I mean, that is a team that's carrying themselves. The only guy that looks like he has any fire left is Mike Evans, because he's the one guy running up and down. Like you can see it on him. Baker has got to be playing at a 60% level. It feels like every time he takes a hit, it's just, he feels like he's going to roll over and bury himself. And they're just not good. The defense can't stop a nosebleed. They look absolutely lost. They made Quinn Ewers look like an NFL quarterback yesterday, at least for a half anyway.
Yeah.
And that's amazing given who their head coach is and Todd Bowles. But it just feels like, all right, even if they beat Carolina at home, yay. I mean, who are those two teams beating, Donnie, when they get in? It just feels like it's an extra, just play out the string and try to heal up and start again next year.
Is Quinn Ewers a 7th-round steal there, Joe? Throwing some passes, looking decent against Tampa? Or is it fool's gold? And don't you buy into, we got to give Quinn a shot next year as our starting quarterback for Miami?
Well, I think the reason you benched Tua and went with him is because, you wanted to see, can he compete for a starting job next season there? And listen, I mean, he's gotten better game after game, which is what you want to see with a 7th-round pick, Donnie, right? Does he go backwards? Does he go forward? He took a step forward against the team that had something to play for. It wasn't a meaningless game to them. So, I think he's earned the shot to try to show up to camp and try to win a starting job in the NFL next year.
New England Patriots had a lead yesterday in the third quarter, Joe, 42-3 over the New York Jets. Drake May, 19 of 21, 256 in the air, 5 touchdown passes. I thought he can get to 2, and I bet that. He actually got to 5 in that game. Stephon Diggs is coming on playing his best football of the season, 6 catches, 101 yards, and a touchdown. By the way, 5 different players caught a touchdown pass yesterday from Drake May. But my question isn't about the Patriots. They're a good football team. They're actually 8-0 on the road this season, and I think they're going to have a pretty solid playoff run. It's the New York Jets. And I don't know whether to be upset or angry or saying, you know what, they're doing exactly what they're supposed to do. From an owner's perspective, you look at their head coach and say, all right, Aaron Glenn, we just want to see competent football, even if you're not losing. Show us you're prepared. They don't look prepared at all. But then again, they're doing the right thing. They told you, we're not playing Tyrod Taylor. He might give us an opportunity to hang around games. We're not playing Justin Fields, who's a bad quarterback, but his athletic ability might give us a chance to hang around games. We're going to play Brady Cook, who is terrible, to make sure we tank. But does this come at the expense of the coach whose team looks terrible, where he might not get a second year?
Same old Jets.
It's the same old Jets. It really is. It's so funny. But you're right, Donnie, because listen, I get it. You're building for the future. You've got $90 million in cap space. You've got $1 million draft picks. But nothing that we're seeing with what you are showing up with week after week leads us to believe that you're going to be able to do anything with this whole new roster that that the plan has to begin with. So there's nothing even to be remotely excited about outside of having all the money in the world. What does all the money in the draft capital of the world do, Donnie, if you don't trust the coaching staff and the front office to make the right picks and actually get the most out of players? It has been embarrassing. Now, having said that, can we at least kudos to Breece Hall, who had 1,000 yards yesterday, over 1,000 yards rushing for the Jets? Might be the only positive to take away for Jet fans is that Breece Hall actually did something that hasn't been done in a New York Jets uniform, it feels like, in a hot minute. Actually, hasn't been since 2015. So kudos to Breece Hall. The first thing they'll do, though, is trade him, Donnie, as soon as the season's over.
Yeah, is he, by the way, have another year contract? Is he actually up at this point? Or they because the problem is when you have a good running back on a bad football team, it doesn't make sense to bring him back. But when you think about the NFL and how quick you can turn things around, if you get a legitimate quarterback, they got weapons at wide receiver. They got a running back. There are building blocks there, but it's the Jets, as we like to say, or the goddamn Jets, as they used to say in Big Daddy the movie. Unbelievable stuff here for those Jets. But hey, being a Jets fan, it is what it is at this point. They got hammered yesterday. The Cleveland Browns. Look, you might not be playing for anything at the end of the year, but it is fun to beat a rival. And the Pittsburgh Steelers without DK Metcalf, what is that offense? Aaron Rodgers threw 39 times. Do you know what his average was per pass attempt? 4.3 yards. They have absolutely nothing at wide receiver and nothing explosive. They got beat by the Shedeur Sanders-led Browns 13-6, where all they needed was a win, and they would be in the playoffs with a division championship. Now, they're not even favorites to win the final game. And also DK Metcalf, who took a swing, he didn't get a suspension, knocked down to one game, which means he's not even playing next week. Embarrassing. The Steelers score 6 points and get beat by Cleveland.
It wasn't good. And they still had an opportunity to actually win the game there in the end. But no DK. If they had DK Metcalf, who torched this Cleveland team and defense the first go-around, but not only did they not have Metcalf, they didn't have Calvin Austin. They had nobody who could stretch the field. And then I think first quarter, somewhere in there, second quarter, Darnell Washington, their other leading receiver, the big tight end, he goes down. Rodgers literally had nobody to throw the ball to that could get any separation. Scantling, I think, was the only guy left that he had
Scotty Miller, baby.
Confidence in. Any confidence in. He threw the ball 3 times to him in the end zone on that final drive there, trying to get. He was the only guy he was looking at, and the Browns knew it too.
Jacksonville Jaguars 23-17 over the Indianapolis Colts. And by the way, the Colts sit 8-8 now. There was a time, Joe, a month and a half ago. Hey, by the way, are the Colts the best football team in the NFL? Unbelievable, man. They're going to finish under 500. Shout out Phillip Rivers, giving it as much as he can. 17 of 30, $147, back to going under those passing totals, a touchdown and an interception. But the Colts had a lead for the majority of this game. It just slipped away late, but credit the Jacksonville Jaguars with a lot on the line, picking up their 12th win of the football season. That's a pretty good coaching job there down in Duval by Liam Cohen.
Yeah, and that's so all they have to do now is beat Tennessee, I believe, in Week 18, and they are your AFC South champions there. And kudos. I mean, listen, Indy was eliminated the day before, right, where all of a sudden Houston comes back and holds on. Had the Chargers won, maybe you see a little different effort there, but listen, the Colts felt like they were playing the entire game with one hand behind their back. They had, backup offensive linemen all over the place. The defense, even with Sauce Gardner in there,
And
just a shell of what they were. And then he get right. So it's like, I give them credit, but now what are you going to do with Phillip Rivers is my question. What happens to him? Like, does he stay on the coaching staff? Does he go? Does he play next? I wouldn't play him next. There's no reason to play him next week.
But here's the funny thing about that is you're right about it. But I think he's on for the ride at the end of the season because he stated he's going to go back to coaching next year, and this is his last game. Right. They're going to play him, but really you should be playing Riley Leonard to get a look at him and see what he does in games as opposed to just a retirement tour for Phillip Rivers, which I give a lot of respect for coming back, but correct me if I'm wrong. They're probably going to be 0-4 with Phillip Rivers, so you just let him play it out, and it is what it is. But also, from a Jacksonville Jaguar perspective, that's 7 straight wins for the Jags. They'll beat the Titans. That's 8 straight wins heading into the playoffs, man. I like what I see from Jacksonville here, Joe. I do.
There's nothing not to, and why not Jacksonville? Are they any worse? Do they not have warts like every other team in the AFC? They are very much alive for a chance to make it to a Super Bowl.
Exactly. That winning streak started with hammering the Chargers 35-6 and also included blasting Denver in Denver. Is they a legit team here, the Jaguars? I think they are. Here's Tom Vecchio with us next.
Chicago Blackhawks of the National Hockey League are now official partners with Kalshi. It takes effect this week. Each side can use the other's intellectual property for co-marketing purposes, and Kalshi will be promoted during home games at the United Center and on Blackhawks broadcasts. First of its kind, certainly probably not the last as well.
Newswire, only on SportsGrid.
When did we become, so bitter that we can't accept another man's apology? We make mistakes all the time. And as a grown man, you have to say, I'm sorry every once in a while. And it's okay to say that. And the apology, I think, should be accepted. And in this case, I'm accepting it.
The Craig Carden Show, only on SportsGrid.
When you look at this NBA Cup, you have to think about the importance. As a coach, I find a lot of importance. This wasn't a gimmick win. The Knicks earned it the hard way, and it matters in April as Mike Brown continues to build that culture in New York, and now, in my opinion, the Knicks are legit contenders to win the NBA title.
Pro basketball today, only on SportsGrid.
Arvil Reese at 8%. I got to tell you right now, I have no idea who that is or if they're playing a Joe Bowman show.
Yeah, that's going to be interesting.
Who is that?
Here, but I have no idea.
You even know?
But no idea. But don't you have to pick the Heisman winner, Donnie? Isn't that like the rule of thumb if you're going to take a quarterback? Is he not the best quarterback?
The Early Line, only on SportsGrid.
Armchair Quarterback Monday, right here on the Early Line on the SportsGrid Network. Donnie right side, Joe Ramirez. Welcome in. Tom Vecchio here to start our weekend style. And a big weekend it was, and an even bigger week in Week 18. Tom, how are we feeling today?
I'm doing great. Craziness really from the jump on Thursday. Joe and I were live for some of those games. The Lions just simply can't win. We had an insane game on Saturday night that I just did not see coming. Crazy game, last night to end things. And then we have one more tonight. I'm ready to go.
Yeah, flag football game broke out last night on Sunday Night Football. But the part I want to focus on, Tom, before we get to the Monday night game tonight, the 4 o'clock window yesterday, absolutely fascinating. The Giants and the Raiders. Nobody wanted to win this football game, but the Giants didn't get the memo and hung 34 points on the Raiders, basically dropping their status from, we're going to be the guys picking number 1. Oh, correct me if I'm wrong. They did that in the past already for the Giants, where now the Raiders look like they're going to pick number 1. Then you have the Philadelphia Eagles and the Buffalo Bills. The Eagles come out in the rain, take a 13-0 lead, then take a knee the entire second half, and still wound up with a 1-point victory over the Buffalo Bills. A wild 4 p.m. yesterday, which only had 2 games.
Right. So, I don't think it impacts the Giants that much. Not having the number 1 pick, like if they're going to end up, they're not taking a quarterback. So hopefully they'll take an offensive line because that's what they need to be doing. Or I don't know if they need another edge rusher, but not having one doesn't impact the Giants, I think, as much as people are making it out to be. They're not taking a quarterback to begin with, so just taking an offensive lineman. When it comes to the Eagles-Bills game, my biggest takeaway is Josh Allen's health, because he went into the locker room after the game and got an x-ray on his foot, which was already bothering him. And now he may not be playing this week anyway, but him not being healthy going into the first round of the playoffs, that should be the biggest takeaway.
Yeah, it's unfortunate too, because had that defense played like they did in that game all year, the Bills wouldn't even have to worry about anything as far as that goes there. But big picture, your takeaways here. Patriots for real? Are you buying the 49ers, Tom? What are you thinking here?
I'm buying the 49ers in a sense that their defense may be bad, but I know that they can go toe-to-toe with any other offense. They can just outscore teams. And in terms of Seattle, which is obviously going to be a big test next week, if San Francisco wins, they're going to have home field advantage, and they could legitimately have home field advantage until the Super Bowl, which is they're playing it in San Francisco. So they won't be on the road for over a month, which is crazy. When it comes to the Pats, I buy into them as much as I buy into almost any other AFC team, where I can buy into the Bills, but Josh Allen isn't healthy and the defense is kind of terrible. And I could buy into the Jags. It's like, well, they don't have a ton of playoff experience. And I could buy into the Ravens. If they make it, it's like, well, it's still Lamar. They can win games, but their defense is getting better. It's like every team in the AFC has great things. They also have some terrible things about them. The Pats have no playoff experience. They've also collapsed in games, but they responded and, torched the Ravens and they torched the Jets. So if they have home field, they have a bye. Denver is a bye. I buy into anyone and no one at the same time.
Yeah, the NFC is wild. It's up in the air. You saw it last night. 2 of the better football teams here seemingly don't have any defenses. When we like to say defense wins championships, should be a fun run in the NFC. But that also starts tonight. The Los Angeles Rams, with not much to play for on the road against Atlanta, this might actually work out in the Rams' favor. They can't get a 1, 2, or 3, or 4 seed here and get a home playoff game in round number 1. If you look at that football team and you say, okay, let's play maybe a half of football tonight, which I do think they're going to play the entire way, then take your de facto bye in week 18, you can catapult yourself as a real dangerous team off of a bye, which, Tom, is something I was rooting so hard last night for the 49ers to win, for the Bears to win that game, which would have knocked the Philadelphia Eagles out of a chance of getting that 2 seed so they could rest in week 18. But tonight's Rams-Atlanta game looks like they're going to play, at least based on the line, Tom. The 8.5, they've disappeared into 7.5 right now, and a total 49.5. Are we getting a full blast effort from the Rams tonight versus Atlanta?
I truly believe that we are. And I don't want to say that this is a spot for the Rams to, quote unquote, right the ship. And it's not as if they're coming off a bad loss. Like, the game against Seattle didn't go as well, but their offense still looked good, right? And they did so without Devontae Adams, who's not expected to play tonight. He's not expected to play next week. So I see this as just a game, go out there, score some points. Whatever result may be, it's going to be. And then they just have like you said, a de facto bye next week. So it's not like, again, they looked bad. Stafford, 450 yards, all the touchdowns. Puka looked great. Kyron Williams played Corey, et cetera, et cetera. So I expect them to just go out, operate rationally. And if they score 30 and win, great. If they score 24 and lose, so be it. But they just need to have that confidence of, we can't take 2 full weeks off.
Yeah.
Correct me if I'm wrong, but wasn't it Kirk Cousins that had that record where he couldn't win on Monday night? Was it like a Monday night? Like anytime he played, right? I think he was 0-9, I think, on Monday Night Football. Like every time he played, he was an automatic fade. But what do we do? I mean, are we looking for passing yards for him? Are we looking to fade him, Tom? Like, what do we do with these 2 quarterbacks?
I'm looking to back Stafford on the Rams side of things. I like him specifically over 21.5 completions. Again, this is a spot that he's routinely been at through the entirety of the year. Again, it's not a right the ship type of spot for the Rams. They just need to go out there. He's going to score some points. I don't want to I don't know if he wants to keep himself in the MVP conversation, throw a couple touchdowns, as we saw Drake May light up the Jets yesterday. But I like him over 21.5 completions. I think he should be able to get that done. And then when it comes to the Falcons side of things, I don't want to back Kirk Cousins specifically. I want to back their best player. That's Bijan Robinson. Looking to him over 17.5 for his longest reception. We see the Rams this year. They've allowed 552 receiving yards to opposing running backs. That's the 10th most in the NFL. And we look to Bijan in some of these recent games. He's routinely breaking off long receptions, not just over 17.5, but 30 plus, 40 plus in some of these games. You get the ball into his hands, after the pass rush of Jared Verse and the Rams gets there. Kirk Cousins, not like he's mobile. He has to get the ball out quickly. And Bijan's going to be that guy. So over 17.5 for Robinson. He can have easily over 100 combined yards tonight. And some of that's going to be coming in the air.
Yeah, I think it's an interesting game, too, because, so 2 games out, it's a little bit early to shut it down. They've already prepared all week long that they're going to play full go. I do think you get the best out of the Rams, but you still want to take a look at those inactive reports before the game starts. But, Tom, we got 3 really important games next weekend. 2 on Saturday, Carolina and Tampa Bay, Seattle and San Francisco, and then the Sunday night football game, Baltimore and Pittsburgh. Did you take a quick peek at one of those 3 games that might be piquing your interest right now?
Yeah, as of now, I think everyone's going to be focusing in on the Steelers getting points at home, Tomlin, primetime, underdog. We got to remember there's no DK Metcalf. He's still suspended. Darnell Washington got hurt. The offense for the Steelers looked terrible, atrocious, inept JV offense this past weekend. How are they going to score points in this upcoming game? So an under, and maybe you take the 3.5 for the Steelers.
Yeah, it should be a lot of fun to watch it play out. That's Tom Vecchio. We'll have him on certainly again before these games kick off. Tom, thanks for rising and grinding on a Monday with us. For Joe and Donnie, we're going to get to that Monday night football game tonight. We'll be right back. Reese at 8%. I got to tell you right now, I have no idea who that is if they're playing a Joe Coleman show.
Yeah, that's going to be interesting.
Who is that?
Here, but I have no idea.
You even know?
But no idea. But don't you have to pick the Heisman winner, Donnie? Isn't that like the rule of thumb if you're going to take a quarterback? Is he not the best quarterback?
The Early Line, only on SportsGrid.
Already been doing some work in golf, doing some work in racing, and he said, dial into this call. And they put up this deck about what TGL is going to be. This is like 4 years ago at this point. And I was like, how have I not seen this on social? This is the Tiger's involved, Rory's involved. There's a screen. I was like, this is crazy. We were all texting each other like, is this for real? And that's really where it started.
The Smiley Show, only on SportsGrid.
My problem with the Raiders is I think they're one of the worst teams in NFL history right now.
In history?
Joe,
Cleveland had some bad teams.
Joe, they had 75 yards against the Eagles. And it wasn't surprising.
Outside of Brock Bowers, what do they have? Trey Tucker, Ashton Genty in the offensive line.
This moment of the Raiders, they just feel so lifeless.
Need a quarterback.
Pro Football Today, only on SportsGrid.
The Chicago Blackhawks of the National Hockey League are now official partners with Kalshi. It takes effect this week. Each side can use the other's intellectual property for co-marketing purposes, and Kalshi will be promoted during home games at the United Center and on Blackhawks broadcasts. First of its kind, certainly probably not the last as well.
Newswire, only on SportsGrid.
All right, welcome back into the Early Line, the final Monday of the year. Wow, go figure. 2025 coming to a close, 2026 just around the corner. One more Monday night football game to close out the year as well tonight between the Rams and the Falcons here. And the Rams kind of sitting just around that touchdown, maybe the hook available, 7.5 in a lot of spots. But what is on the line for these two teams? Well, if I'm Atlanta and I am Coach Morris here, Raheem Morris, You coaching for your job? Because I think he kind of is here at this point. And if you talk to anybody from Atlanta, they'll tell you the 14-18 record of this Atlanta Falcons team over the last 2 seasons that he's been at the helm, not exactly what they thought they would be getting here. Now, the Rams, thanks to the 49ers winning last night, the Rams really are just playing for seeding at this point because they are tied for second with the 49ers in a very tough NFC West here. But let's face it, Atlanta's not going to the playoffs, but they are going to be, we'll see whether or not Raheem Morris can push the right buttons here. They do have their $160, $70, $80 million backup quarterback going here in Kirk Cousins again. But is that going to be enough to go up against a Rams team who is still pretty fuming over what happened last week and the meltdown against Seattle? They usually don't lose games in which they have a pretty comfortable lead, but they did last week. They're looking to bounce back. And I had mentioned when it comes to Coach McVay, there has been nobody more profitable than him, especially in the month of December and especially coming off a loss like they did there last week against this Seattle team. So even though there's nothing, you win or you're in type of situation, we know the Rams are already in. But my goodness, backing Sean McVay and the Rams has been a profitable spot here. In fact, since he actually became the head coach in 2017, he's 32-19-1 against the number off a loss. That is the best record for any coach since he came into the league in 2017. And by the way, he's really good in these night prime time games too as well. 8-4-1 against the number. They had a 16-point lead heading into that fourth quarter last week against the Seahawks. Usually when they blow those kinds of games, the next game back, pretty focused, pretty good. I'm expecting a big effort from the defense, especially here tonight. And by the way, I was right. I looked at it. Kirk Cousins started his career off in the NFL going 0-9 straight up and against the number on Monday Night Football, which is absolutely hilarious. But recently, he's kind of changed those fortunes here, and he actually has gone 2-0 straight up on Monday Night Football, his last couple of shots. So he's been better as of late, but my goodness, it was a rough stretch for him in prime time. It's hard to look at anybody but the Rams bouncing back in a big way because Coach McVay, of all coaches, Donnie, know that we cannot limp into the playoffs. I mean, next week, week 18, is not going to mean anything for the Rams. I expect a big-time effort here from the Rams tonight, and this could be, I think Raheem Morris is coaching for his job tonight. I think that's what's on the line for Atlanta.
Yeah, I'm interested to see, too, because we just talked about Tom Vecchio about this game. Like, I just want to see what the inactive reports are. And we are understanding where the Rams came into this week preparing to play a football game. You usually don't pull the plug on that a week early. Like, if this was week 18, like, yeah, nobody's playing in this game for the Rams. Not worried about if, oh, no, it might be the 7th seed or the 6th seed. They would be just fine with that. But I do think they prepared for this game and they give an honest effort. And the same thing with Atlanta. You're right about this. Like Atlanta, it's not week 18. They're still going to play their starters here. It's in a dome. We're not worried about, 22-degree temperatures and sleeting, rain, and snow on the field. You should get a pretty clean surface. And also say something about if you are going to go to your bench players in week 18, hey, guys, let's get some good work in this weekend. Let's put up some statistics. Let's feel good about heading into week 18, get resting up, and then taking that de facto bye into the playoffs. It'll be interesting to me, Joe, because if we quickly look at the line, 7.5s and 7s, I do think there's a chance that this line does close, Joe, at 7 or less, as opposed to stay in that 8 to 7.5 range where they've been all week.
Yeah, and if it does, I think that'll be the line in the sand. It's interesting that the hook is still available, right? Donnie's still giving folks an opportunity to be like, I'll take more than a touchdown here with the underdog. But it hasn't gotten there yet. But if it does, I think at worst it lands at 7.
And also, Joe, MVP race. Matthew Stafford's in there. A couple tutties make him look good here before they take that week 18 rest. We'll find out tonight. But you know what? Hour number 2 coming up next, right here on the early line. We'll be back after this quick break.